So our next guest is someone I've known for many, many, many years. I think I've known him since his first book, but he'll confirm that when he comes on the screen. It's Brandon Massey, and he's a prolific writer. He writes thrillers, mysteries, some supernatural, and fiction, only fiction as far as I know. He's even done some short story anthologies, and he's done all kinds of things. I'm trying to remember, Brandon,
Mhm.
have I known you since your first book? I think I have.
Yeah, you have.
I think I
Yeah.
met you with your first book,
Yes, yes,
and
exactly.
that's been close to 20 years ago. So
Hmm. Hmm.
he has a new book out. I already have my copy, haven't read it yet. It's on my to be read show, along with a bunch of other books. But Bad Influence. And I saw it just came out, but you already have like a bunch of reviews already. So it must,
Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah,
so
that's
congratulate
really,
and welcome
thank
back
you.
to the show.
Thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate it. How are y'all doing?
Doing
Wonderful. It's
great.
great having you here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you.
yeah. So when did the book come out exactly? Because you were supposed to be on the July 9th show, the one that we had to cancel because of the COVID.
Right. Yeah, so the book came out at the end of June, and
Okay.
it's gotten a lot of really good reviews so far, which is always exciting and kind of a relief because even though
It is.
at this point I've done this is novel number 17, but you just never really know how people will respond to what you're doing. So it's always really nice to see when people enjoy a story. And yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm just
Helps
kind of,
validate your work and your time that
yeah,
you put in.
Right.
And,
exactly. Hmm.
Do you think part of it also is because you've kind of stayed true to your genre over the years?
Hmm. Yeah, I think when you give people, kind of what they expect, I look at it this way. I try to give them something that's similar but a little bit different
Right.
than what I've done before, and that seems to be effective because if every book were just something completely different, not everyone likes every type of story. Like I've done a story that had more of a sci-fi angle, and um, the reception of that wasn't as positive. I mean, I enjoyed it, but you kind of just learn. You kind of just learn over the years what your readers really enjoy most reading. So it's really just a balance of writing a story that I'm comfortable and excited about, says where I can say the things I want to say, but at the same time, people will also want to pick it up. It's a two-way thing. It's not just, oh, I just write what I want and who cares if someone reads it? Well, I care. That's the whole point of it, is
Right.
to connect with the audience. So
I mean, that's why we're
yeah,
writing books, right? We're not writing books just for
exactly.
our own
For
entertainment.
ourselves or for
Exactly,
ourselves.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
I
And
so
mean,
you
you
it's just
might
know,
a
be
balance of
enjoying writing the book, but you actually want somebody to read
to
it.
read, you
yeah,
do. You
yeah,
want the
exactly.
effort to be worthwhile. And you have to be really like in the top tier to say, I mean, if you don't really care if people like your books or not,
Mhm.
that's that's people who really are in the top tier. I still think they care, even, you know,
I think so.
I think they still care.
Yeah, and
Although
even
I
and
think sometimes
mhm,
sometimes the writing falls off.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
or sometimes I wonder if the people are still writing their books. I wonder if
That's
they have a
true.
ghostwriter or something.
Well,
Sometimes
there
the
is
voice
an
sounds
yeah,
different.
there is an author who I enjoy reading, and I heard that he has a team who basically writes his books for him now because he is, and at first I was like, no, but then when you think about it, he has so many books that have come out so close to each other. He can't possibly be writing all of these books.
Right.
So
Mhm.
after a while, you do get a team, and then you have to wonder, is that team kind of diluting your writing? Or, I
Mhm.
mean, are you really there to coach them through to make sure that they reflect your voice?
Well,
Exactly.
if you do
Yeah.
all that, you can write the book yourself. But I don't know. I don't know if a book written by a team really has like a soul.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
you
I can
know?
see that because I know with all of my books, with every single one of them, there is something personal to me about it.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's that element is a little, it's not as large, but like with Bad Influence, so it's about this family where it's husband and wife and their teenage daughter. She recently turned 13. Their teenage daughter connects with another girl a year older than her who is basically a toxic person. So she gets pulled into this toxic friendship, and her parents are really struggling with how to handle it because they can't be around their child 24/7. I mean, she goes to school, she's got her own phone. I mean, they can take her phone, but she's still at school. I mean, she's still going to see this kid. And so
Right.
so I have a daughter. We have a daughter who's basically the same age as the character in the story. And although my daughter hasn't been in a full blown toxic friendship, it's kind of one of those fears that's kind of floating at the back of my mind. Like, what would I do if she did? Um,
Right.
whether she was involved with a boy, she's not quite at that point yet. Not yet.
Well, as far as you
I know it's
know.
coming. Not yet, but of either a boy or another girl who is just, she just gets sucked into this friendship. And at that age, kids, their friendships can just be really intense, you know. And so it's really about this family that their daughter gets sucked into this toxic friendship with a girl who's just a sociopath and tends to get away with her sociopathic behavior because she's still a child. People don't necessarily take it seriously until things just truly get out of hand. But so that's what I'm saying. So every story that I write has some type of basis in my own personal experience, even if it's just in a most even in a trivial way. But it's usually something that about the story where I can say, yeah, that's kind of like came of something that I was familiar with. So same case with this one.
Yeah, a
And then
lot of
how do
your
you,
books have a toxic character.
A lot of them do, you said?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
well,
they do.
that makes your books what they are, right?
Yeah, I mean, every character to me, yeah, I have a theory about this. I think people enjoy reading about a really good villain.
Yes.
Um, and I've had books where the villain, that antagonist character was just not really as powerful or as present in the story. And those books didn't do as well with readers
Mm.
compared to the ones where the villain was just a really colorful, memorable character. Like Nana. That's probably my
Mm-hmm.
most popular book now. Where,
Is it?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Dark Corner is another one. I know you enjoy that one.
Yeah, that's
Where,
on my top 20 list of all time.
yeah, yeah, and that story also has a really strong antagonist. And I think so. Just saying, all yeah, there's like a toxic character at some level in a lot of these stories, and I just think that is what makes them compelling to see people who are maybe just sort of ordinary people. Well, how do they respond when they bump up against that person who maybe they don't follow the rules that everyone else does? They just kind of do whatever they want. How do you respond to that? How does a normal person respond to that? And that's where I think just the fun of this, at least fun for me with writing it, is showing how do these characters deal with this character who just kind of takes over their world and doesn't follow the rules that they've been trained to follow.
Yeah, you
That's a big one.
in well, two things. Dark Corner, I don't even remember the whole plot exactly because it's been 15 years since I read it.
Mhm.
But the what I remember is it grabbed me like in the wooden, like in such a way that it wouldn't let go. And the only thing I read is about is has a historical framework, and it's
Mhm.
about vampire.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's the only vampire book I've ever read.
Yeah, I
I
hear
mean, I
that a
don't
lot.
like vampire books, but
Yeah.
I love Dark Corner was so engrossing. And it wasn't scary, but it had some scary elements to it.
Hmm. Yeah, I
And then
think
your
that,
book, The
yeah,
Landlord, that was the last one, right? Before this new one,
yeah, the
The
landlord.
Landlord.
Hmm.
It has a
Hmm.
1,000 reviews. That is amazing. That is incredible. I am so excited for you because I know you self-publish your books. And a
Yeah.
1,000 reviews, that's a lot of readers. And
Yeah.
it was a good book.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I think it comes down as far as all the reviews. I think it's what I've been figuring out is that people just, I actually done surveys of my readers where they like to have books available the way that they like to experience the story. So they may want an ebook, the Kindle. They may want a paperback. But the really big thing now is the audiobook.
Yeah,
And
it
I've
is.
found that probably about 30% of my readers only want to read or listen to the audiobook. And
Oh.
they'll tell me, I'll send out an email saying, oh, my new book just came out. It's an ebook and paperback. And they'll just say, you know what? Email me when the audio is available. They're not going to pick it up otherwise. They're just not interested. So with the newest book, Bad Influence, I worked with William Wells. He's a narrator. He's a voiceover artist out of Houston. This is the fifth time he and I have worked together, and I said I want to get this one out quickly. The book just dropped, and I don't want to have folks waiting for 6, 12 months to get the audio. I want to get it out there while it's the book's still relatively new. So I just think that's the type of stuff I think that just helps people just kind of expand your market as much as you possibly can. Just make the book available in every format. Usually if you're with a traditional publisher, they kind of handle that for you. But
Right.
if you're independent, you got to do it all yourself. And a lot of the independent authors, they may do the ebook and the paperback, but they don't do the audio, and you're kind of missing out, on that segment of the audience where that's all they want is audio. They want to listen
Right.
to your book when they're commuting or they're cleaning their house, doing the dishes or whatever. So you just got to meet people where they are. I think it's important.
I've got to say, I was at work. I had to work in the office today, hence the
Hmm.
blazer, because normally
Hmm.
I'd be a lot more comfortable. But
Hmm.
as I'm working and typing and sending emails, I'm listening to an audiobook. It's the thing
Right.
that keeps me
Mhm.
grounded.
Exactly. Hmm.
And then living in the DC area, I'm always driving, so I'm
Hmm.
always listening to an audiobook. I don't
Hmm.
feel comfortable just listening to music anymore. I have to be
Hmm.
listening to an audiobook. And now
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
down to the last hour and 20 minutes of my book. I'm probably going to be listening to that book while I'm working on something else when I'm getting ready to fall asleep.
Hmm.
That's just
Yeah.
my thing now. So I think you're
Exactly.
right that when ebooks and physical books are fine, but there is a huge segment of the reading audience that are so busy they don't have time to sit down and read anymore. They want to listen to an audiobook.
Yep. Yep. And
Well,
I've read
Rhonda's been
it's.
working on me.
Mhm.
She might
Uh-huh.
have convinced me. Finally, I'm hearing it from numerous people,
Yeah.
and I have two novels. I need to get them on. Now, since you do your own, how do you get the audio? Oh, you do it with Audible. You put it on
Yeah,
Audible.
I do it with Audible, and
Okay.
they basically their platform similar to publishing on Kindle, where it's all kind of consolidated in one place. So basically, um, if you go on to Audible, you can basically link your book to all the available narrators who might be interested, and they can audition. They can read like a chapter of your book as their audition, and then you listen to that sample and you decide, I like this person, I want them to record it, or I don't like them. Um, So that's how I found Mr. William Wells, who I've worked with 5 times now, is just through an audition. And I just loved his voice. And I said, you know what? He's kind of how I would like to sound if I were reading one of my books. So I want to pick him to work on these books, and he does a great job. Um, and then you just, you know, the thing is, there is some expense involved because if you're hiring this is what he does for a living, so you got to pay him a professional rate.
Mhm.
So it could be a couple $1,000s, to pay an experienced voiceover artist to record your book. Um, so that's one way to do it. Or I know authors, they record the books themselves, where they set up a studio somewhere in their house that's quiet. Like you can set up even like a closet, soundproof the walls, get your recording equipment, and record your own audiobooks. So that's one way to do it too. I just think it's important to just make the book available in that format, because that's just what so many readers expect and want right now. And you're just missing out on those readers if you don't have that audio available.
Yeah, when my last book, Exodus from Treachery, came out, I met with a
Mhm.
book club, and she said she hadn't had a chance to read it because she was looking for the audio, and she'd
Yeah,
been so busy.
exactly. See, yeah,
So the
that's what I
other
hear
book
all the
club
time.
people read it, but she didn't get a chance to read it because she needed an audio because she was so
Yeah.
busy,
Mhm.
driving or working or whatever. So now you
Mhm.
said have you ever tried to do your own audio, or did you immediately seek professional help?
I thought about doing it at first, and I bought some of I bought a microphone that could have worked. But then I kind of went through like some tests to see what it would be like, and I said, you know what, it was just hard for me to find the time. It's not easy. It's hard work.
Mhm.
If you like my latest book, I think when he recorded it, the final version is a little over 7 hours,
Okay.
but that's like finished hours. Like, how many hours did
Yes.
he spend getting to those final seven? Probably 3 times as many. Because
Yes.
if you stuttering or something, like, oh, I got to go back, I got to fix that. I mispronounced something. Just so it's a long process, and I just said, you know what? My strength is I'm just going to write the book. I'll find somebody who specializes in this other stuff to do those things. So I'm happy to pay him because he deserves it. And, in the long run, I do make the money back. It's just an investment,
Yeah.
in the project, and over the life of the project, it's profitable for me. So it works.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a few books. I think I'm going to have turned into audiobooks.
Mhm.
I think it's really good also to revive a backlist.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point because so Amazon started offering this little feature where they are using uh, artificial intelligence voices. So you could
Mhm.
just, if your book is on Kindle, you could literally click a few buttons and there's an AI narrator. Now, I've done that with probably 3 or 4 books, just older books, just to see how would people respond.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, they don't like it because they say the AI narrator just sounds stiff. Um, it's not dramatic. It's not a
You can
dramatic
tell
reading.
that. I mean, there are
Yeah.
some YouTube videos out there where there's an AI voice kind of
Hmm.
narrating it,
Hmm.
and it sounds so matter of fact, and there's
Right.
no
Mm.
feeling in it. And it takes away from the quality of the story that way. I mean, I've had some audiobooks where it was an actual
Hmm.
human reading it, but I didn't
Hmm.
like the way the human was
Yeah.
reading it.
Right.
So I took the book back. I didn't want to listen
Hmm.
to it anymore.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and AI, they have them now for the customer service, which I hate, hate,
Yeah.
hate, hate, because they're not human, and you have to go through so much to get to a human, and
It's
then
crazy.
sometimes when you finally do get to a human, they can't understand you, and you can't understand them. Let's put
Yep.
it like that.
Hmm.
They could be anywhere in the world, And
Mhm.
so I know companies are doing it because it's cheaper, it saves them money, but not
Mhm.
sometimes humans are necessary
Absolutely.
to
Yeah,
solve problems. AI is not going to solve your problem for
exactly.
you. They can
Yeah.
only lead you to press one, two, or three.
Hmm.
Now
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
you said something about a science fiction book that you had that, what did you say? People didn't like it or something.
Yeah.
Which
So
one
that
was
was
it? Did I read it?
you did read it. It's Frenzy. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
So
I like
yeah,
Frenzy.
it wasn't one of your favorites, though. I remember. I remember
No,
we talked about
it wasn't, but
that.
I've never read any of her books that I didn't like at all. And if I didn't, I wouldn't say that I did. I just wouldn't bring it up. I just wouldn't bring it up. I just wouldn't say anything about it. But some I like more than others. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
all-time favorite is Dark Corner because it was just so. It was like 500 pages, and it
Yeah. It
was
was
just.
long.
It was
Hmm.
Okay,
so.
500 pages.
Yeah, if it's a good book, 500 pages is awesome to read. But it has to
Yeah.
be a good book. It can't be boring.
Yeah.
It has to be. And that one just was amazing. But most of your other ones are more like 300. That's
Yeah.
like your sweet spot now. And I think this
Are
one
you
is.
still writing the longer books? I know a lot of authors are moving towards shorter books and novellas, or maybe a little longer than a novella, but shorter than a full-length novel now, because they're figuring um readers just don't want to read longer books anymore. But you stick with the longer books.
Yeah. Mine are about 350
Mm.
pages or so. I think as long as and that's kind of where that's like my sweet spot is like in the and it just not just for writing but my own personal preference. I usually won't read a really thick book unless I'm absolutely convinced it's going to be good. um, like I'm reading Tanana Reeves' The Reformatory.
Reformatory.
Yeah,
Hmm.
oh, I'm reading that too.
I know that's a great book. I'm going to
Yeah.
finish it. It's a longer book. I'm okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I've
But
read it already. And I think, Rhonda, have you finished?
I haven't
yeah.
finished it yet,
Okay.
but I will be finishing it soon. But one thing about Tanana Reeves' book, The Reformatory, is there
Mhm.
aren't I was reading a book recently that I felt could have ended probably 100 pages earlier because it just felt like there were so many lulls within the story
Mhm.
where, okay, you just introduced something else, but then you never really went back to it.
Mhm.
But with the reformatory, everything just seemed to flow, and
Mhm.
the story didn't feel, there was no place in the story so far that's felt like the story could have ended right there,
Right.
like she was just drawing it on. So
Mhm.
I think that's what I'm really enjoying about her book. And that's what I like about longer books. If it's
Yeah.
going to be long, it shouldn't feel like it should have ended 100 pages ago or 200 pages ago. It's got to
Exactly.
feel like everything makes sense and you don't really want the story to end, or you're wondering how it's going to end because
Right.
you don't foresee that ending coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
also with the reformatory, even though it's 500 pages, it takes place over a short period of time, the
It
storyline.
does. It really
It's
Mhm.
does.
not like years and years past. No, it's
Mhm.
I don't even
Mhm.
know if a year passed in
It
the
seemed like
story.
it was all in a week.
It did. I mean, it was
Mhm.
but it
Mhm.
was just so horrific. But I'm not going to do any spoilers for those who are still reading or plan to read the reformatory. It's like a classic book. It's one of
Yep.
those
Absolutely.
types of
Yeah.
books.
Absolutely.
And I
Um,
know I'm trying to think of some of your other books that I really, really like. The Covenant, even though you said that's not one that got a lot of traction.
no,
Uh,
it's not. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I
I
had fun with it.
it's about that book. I remember the story because it was one of my favorites of yours. It's
Mhm.
like the top five.
I
It's
believe
about
Brandon
a
and I shared an anthology years and years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
called Second Chances. I think it was about Crimes of Passion. No, I'm sorry, Second Chance. It wasn't called Second Chances. That was different. But it was called Crimes of Passion. I believe that was like a long time ago, though. Very long time ago.
And it was another book you had an anthology, but The
Yeah.
Covenant is about like a preacher that leads people astray.
Yeah,
I'll
the
put
part.
it
Yep.
like that.
Y'all
Yep.
gonna
But it was
y'all gonna
really
stop
good.
playing with these preachers. Leave the
It was
preachers
really
alone.
good. But no, the story is really good. And I have preachers in both of my novels. Not they don't play a big role, but I do have a character that is
You
colorful.
never
Colorful.
in
They're
Rhonda Lawson's
colorful.
books, you will never see a preacher doing wrong. I'm not messing with the man of God like that.
Well, I'm a PK, so I feel like that gives me license because my heart is in the right place. And if I write a character, it's based on an amalgamation of a bunch of different people. Now, it's not about one individual, and it's just a colorful part of the story. The other book I like of yours, Rand, is Don't Ever Tell. Isn't that the name
Don't
of
ever
it?
tell. Yeah.
That was good. That was a good book. Our book club read it years ago. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, that
12,
came out
13.
2008. That came out
Yeah,
2008.
okay.
Yeah.
I was right. That's another good one. If y'all are
Okay.
looking for good books to read, these are some of Brandon's best. You'll be able to read them in a day or two because they just move so well. And you always have shocking stuff
I
uh,
try.
somewhere. And that's part of the arc of if you have a lengthy story, you need some arcs in it, meaning you need some points where a person is reading it and says, wow, you need a bunch of those. The longer your book, the more of those you need.
Absolutely.
Otherwise it's just boring. It's just, it's
Mhm.
not no, it's not enough action. So
Mhm.
you said this is about some teenagers.
Yeah, so it's told from the point of view of the parents, and there are some scenes from the teenage daughter's point of view. So it's really
Okay.
just taking the entire family and
Okay.
showing what's the impact of their daughter getting looped into this toxic friendship with a sociopathic teenager who sets her sights on all of them. It's not just the girl that she's raising hell with. It's everybody
Hmm.
comes
Mhm.
under threat at some point in the story. So yeah, it's gotten really, really good reviews from readers. So I definitely
Okay.
encourage y'all to check it out.
Well, I will read it at some point. I don't know what
Okay.
the point is, but I have so many books
I hear
that I
you.
want
Yeah.
to read. Maybe Rhonda and I are going to New York for the Harlem Book Fair. On the plane ride, I should be able to get about
Okay.
half a book read
Yeah,
on
and
one
I'll
of
be
my.
on the train.
There you
So
go.
I'm driving. I'm going to be in Philadelphia this Saturday. I'm going to drive to Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's
But
close.
yeah, that's only a couple hours. I am not. I've driven once from here to New York, and well, I take that back. When I was living in Maryland before, long time ago, I drove to New York one or two times, and I absolutely hated it. The very first time, I called my publicist and said, "I'm going back home." She said, "No, don't go back home. Just go." I'm like, "I'm about to miss this whole thing. I'm going home. I hate this drive." And and I must have forgotten about that lesson that I learned because I drove to New York again last a couple years ago. But no, I'm not driving to New York again. I'll be on the train
Okay.
reading a
Okay.
book with my feet up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't put my feet up on the plane, but I will be reading. So anyway,
Okay.
Brandon, thank you so much.
Thank
Congratulations
you.
on the release of your new book, your latest book.
Thank you very
And I'm
much.
sure you have some more that'll be coming out in another year or two.
I
So we'll
will.
be on the
Yeah.
lookout for whatever you got.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay,
You
you
too.
too.
All right then.